Okay, so this question is about the scientific explanation for the temperature increase of what's called climate change. So draw a picture, use equations, write an essay, but it's supposed to talk about this concept. So this is the way I would explain it, but there are lots of different ways to explain it. So in this drawing, you can see that here's the sun, here's the earth, and I've represented the atmosphere with this blue line here. We know that, okay, if we consider the system of the earth and atmosphere, okay, if we were to draw some sort of system boundary around that, we know that what enters this system is energy in the form of the sun's rays. And in a stable system, we know that which is over time, it's stable. That means the temperature is not changing. We know that the energy in equals the energy out. Now, what's happening in the case of climate change is the energy in is light. That is, well, in other words, electromagnetic radiation, EM radiation, visible light, but also ultraviolet light. So you have a type of light that's entering the atmosphere, going down to Earth, and being absorbed by the Earth, and then re-radiated, but re-radiated in the form of infrared. So you start out, if you were to look at the electromagnetic spectrum, here's a brief spectrum of the solar radiation. Here's energy versus wavelength, and you can see that you have ultraviolet, you have visible, and you have infrared radiation from the sun coming from outer space. So what happens in this case is the infrared comes in. Let me just indicate here. So we have, whoops. We have UV in. The UV is absorbed and then re-radiated as infrared. Now, what happens to that is we know that CO2 is very CO2 as well as a number of other chemicals are very good at absorbing in the infrared range, and they actually absorb that and re-radiate more infrared. So what ends up happening is what's known as the greenhouse effect, where in a greenhouse what happens is the light comes in through the glass, visible and UV comes in. It's absorbed by the plants, and it gets re-radiated as a longer wavelength, as infrared, and it turns out that the glass is not transparent to infrared, that the infrared actually does not go through. It's radiated back in, and that's what's known as the greenhouse effect. So infrared, which is also known as heat, or we call it heat, this type of electromagnetic radiation is essentially trapped in this atmosphere, and that's really the cause. This trapped heat is the cause of the increase in temperature. So because of the heat capacity, CV equals delta H, delta T, and what you're doing is you're storing heat in the form of molecular vibrations, and that's expressed as an increase in temperature.